Welcome in to Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we will look at the waiver claims that were made by the Seattle Seahawks as they have picked up two more players to add to their 53-man roster. Also, we will look at the practice squad signings for the Seahawks. Some of the names that you maybe grew to love over the preseason that ultimately got cut, well, they're back. A few of them are. We'll tell you who those guys are on the Seahawks practice squad. Also, some injury news and notes, including on Kenneth Walker III and Boye Mafe. All that and more coming up in just one moment. Before we do, though, subscribe to Seahawks Today to get daily Seattle Seahawks videos all year long. Hit that red sub button so you can be a part of what we're doing each and every day, covering your Seattle Seahawks with watch parties, live shows, breaking news, and everything in between. It's all in one place. Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications as well. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Let's start with the waiver claims. And you may be asking yourself, well, how do the waiver claims work? Well, to put it in a nutshell, it goes based on the draft order from this past draft. And so the Seahawks kind of had a edge of sorts of getting guys they wanted, maybe compared to other teams. Let's start with Isaiah Dunn, who they were able to claim from the New York Jets, a cornerback, adding to the secondary for Seattle. And with these waiver claims, there's no practice squad involved. You go straight to the 53-man roster. Dunn is familiar with the Pacific Northwest, playing at Oregon State. And last year didn't see a whole lot of action. 8 tackles, no interceptions, and 2 pass breakups. But let's go back to what Lance Zierlein, NFL.com draft analyst, had to say about Dunn when he was coming out of college. The measurables show Dunn is fast and has good length, but he doesn't always play like it. He's an inside-outside cornerback, prospect, possessing explosive traits, but no career interceptions to show for it. Dunn has played outside for most of his career, but might be better suited as a slot in the NFL. He's extremely twitchy with the ability to mirror route breaks, but he just doesn't find his way into passing lanes often enough. The intriguing athletic ability is worth a look and could earn him a stay in the league if he can improve his ball production. So that's what Zierlein had to say. Here is a look at the Seahawks depth chart where things stand right now. As you can see, with Justin Coleman getting cut, Kobe Bryant is in position to be the new starting nickel corner. And that means Sidney Jones and Artie Burns should be your outside corners for the Seahawks. Trey Brown, who started at the end of last year, he's on the PUP list, and he will miss at least 4 games to begin the year. But when he comes back, he'll be competing for one of those outside cornerback spots. So that's the situation as it stands with Isaiah Dunn joining the Seahawks. Now let's tell you about Darryl Johnson now, who the Seahawks picked up and previously played in Buffalo as well as Carolina. And in 2021, just 3 games played, 1 tackle. Not great for Darryl Johnson with the limited production. But nonetheless, the career statistics, as you can see on your screen right now, in 34 games, he's had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. And adding another piece to this linebacking core. And as you can see, Tyreek Smith on the IR right now. And so the Seahawks needing some help, trying to find whatever they can with this group right now. Darrell Taylor, Jordan Brooks, Cody Barton, and Uchenna Nwosu will lead the way for the Seahawks in that linebacker and edge group. This new scheme that we're going to see from the Seahawks with a new defensive coordinator, Clint Hurt, switching things up for the Seahawks there. So those are the waiver claims. Those are the additions that the Seahawks made. How would you grade the moves that Seattle did? Finding these players to slide in on the 53-man roster, taking those final spots. What do you think about that? How would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments section how you would grade those moves by the Seahawks. Put a letter grade on it. You be the judge. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know. Now let's talk about the Seahawks practice squad. And we looked at yesterday the players that were released when the Seahawks narrowed down their roster from 80 to 53. And some of your favorite Seahawk players that you've become a fan of over the last few weeks or so ended up not making the cut. But now they have an opportunity to earn a spot on the 53-man again at some point this year with being added to the practice squad. There's also some new faces as well, including quarterback Sean Mannion, former Oregon State product. Also, Darwin Thompson is back, the former Super Bowl champion with the Kansas City Chiefs. Cade Johnson also returns, as well as wide receiver Boye Melton. Melton, of course, was one of the Seahawks' seventh-round wide receiver selections. Also on the list, making their returns, tackle Liam Ryan, Greg Eiland also on the list, and tight end / wide receiver J.J. Arcega-Whiteside also joins the Seahawks, rejoins the team. They traded for him a couple weeks ago, ultimately released him, and now they're hoping that they can do something with him, that they can find a role of some sorts for the former second-round picked in the same round as DK Metcalf. Also Tyler Mabry, also on the practice squad at the tight end spot. Then you go to defensive players. Vi Jones, who really stood out, had a really good preseason for the Seahawks at linebacker, the undrafted product from NC State. He gets added to the list. Also, Aaron Donkor is a part of that list as well. And Donkor, as an international player, does not count against. As being a part of that international player program, he doesn't count towards the official number. There's also Tanner Muse, the former Raider, and was also with the Seahawks recently. Spent some time at Clemson, winning a national championship there. He gets picked up. Quandre Mosely at corner, and then Scott Nelson is back in Seattle as well after missing out on the 53-man roster. So that's the practice squad for now. Still get out a couple more names throughout the process as well. Today's show is presented by BetUS, and BetUS, they have your game covered, folks, as they are offering a 125% deposit bonus at chatsports.com/bet. And you may be asking yourself, well, how do I get this deal? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's what you do. Go to chatsports.com/bet, and let's say that you put $100 down. They're going to give you $125 to spend for free when you use that promo code Seahawks125 at checkout. You can bet on college football games this weekend. You can bet on NFL games, including Week 1, when the Seahawks take on the Denver Broncos. Early lines already show Denver as a 6.5-point favorite. The Seahawks, let's see what they can do. That might be intriguing to take the Seahawks to cover that one. Total over-under 42. Life's too short to bet the under, folks. Put the money on the over there. Get your bets in now. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125. Let's go over the injury front for your Seattle Seahawks now, and a few things to cover there. We begin with Kenneth Walker III. Kenneth Walker III, the rookie running back the Seahawks selected in the second round out of Michigan State. And he has been on this road to recovery with not a whole lot of questions answered at this point with Kenneth Walker III of where his status is. We've heard Pete Caroll say before that they hope to have him back Week 1, but doctors don't really have a timetable for Kenneth Walker at this point. So here's what Pete Caroll had to say. This is really uncharted territory for him, and for us too, in that regard, in what he's coming back from. He feels way better. He's moving around. He was throwing the football around today. It's just going to be one day at a time, and I told him I'm going to start punching him in the stomach here pretty soon, a couple days from now. So, not much there from Pete Caroll, but nonetheless, they would love to have him back out there. You can see the updated Seattle Seahawks running back depth chart. Rashad Penny is good to go for Week 1. We'll see about Kenneth Walker III, but the Seahawks really liked what they saw from Travis Homer and DJ Dallas. And I think DJ Dallas has a good shot to be your third down back with the way that we saw him as a receiver for the Seahawks. He would be a natural fit. So the Seahawks have other options if Kenneth Walker's not quite ready to go for week 1. Where's your confidence level in the Seahawks running back room right now? Talented group, we know that much, and they have depth. But with the injuries and how things have stacked up and the injury history, where's your confidence level right now? Let me know in the comments section. Scale it for me. 1 to 10. Put a number on it where your confidence level is on the Seahawks running back room as of right now. More injury news. Let's tell you about Damien Lewis now. Damien Lewis, of course, on the Seahawks offensive line, somebody that the Seahawks would love to have back as soon as possible. And Pete Caroll gave an update on Lewis, saying Damien is doing well, quite well. He's running in the pool and doing some stuff, and he's really encouraged that he's going to be able to make it back. But we got to see. It's what the players, Damien's thinking. So that's the latest from Pete Caroll there. Nothing specific, but other than that, he's doing well. So that's good to hear on that front, but no timetable necessarily announced on Damien Lewis there. And then there's one more to get to. That's Boye Mafe, who was absolutely terrific this preseason, making his case for playing time. And Pete Caroll had this to say on Boye Mafe and his recovery. He was running today. He was out there. He's in pretty good shape to make a bid for coming back 2 weeks from now. So it looks promising that he will be okay. So that's very good on Boye Mafe's front. And what we saw of him, at Minnesota, 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, and with what he did in those preseason games he was out there, in particular the Steelers game, he was just all over the field, just flying all over the place. Got to imagine that when he gets back, he'll be a big impact for the Seattle Seahawks, and they hope to have him back sooner than later as a rotational piece among those edge and outside linebacker options for the Seahawks. I really like what he brings to the table, and he's going to be a lot of fun. I think he'll have a really good rookie year. Thanks for joining us. If you made it to the end of this video, spam real one in the comments because you're a real one. Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today. We'll see you next time.